Welcome to today's webinar. Today we're going to be doing a demo of Social Studio, listening in for all of the mentions of Corona and COVID across the Philippines. So this one we're going to zoom into the Philippines specifically. I'm really excited because I love the Philippines. So a little bit about what we're going to do. I'll do a brief introduction. We'll go straight into a live listening analysis, and I'm going to deep dive into some of the big topics that are being discussed online in the Philippines. Then I'll end up the talk with some kind of tips around how to listen properly right now to social in an appropriate way. And then we'll have some time for questions at the end. So just feel free to add any questions as we go through. For those that don't know me, my name is Robin Leonard. I'm the CEO and co-founder of AF Digital. I'm 6-time Salesforce certified, and I'm really on my personal learning journey to continue that. You know, I really love learning, and Salesforce provides a very easy structure to achieve that. My background before starting this business was I was a lead BA with IBM, also somewhat agile PM. I worked for Vodafone for a very long stretch as a CRM BA. And really, in terms of this topic, I've got quite deep expertise in social listening and crisis management, and really for the fact that that's how we started the business. So our first clients were kind of looking for that service. Radian 6 was the first product within the Marketing Cloud suite. And that was one of our first specializations. So you can see here, this was me speaking to a large media company in the Philippines, if you can see the logo. And so, you know, this was very early days. This was like 8 years ago, talking about how you could listen to social media, understanding sentiment, all of those things were new concepts back then. So if you do want to follow me, Robin_AFD on Twitter or Instagram. So a little bit about AF Digital. We are a Salesforce advisory board partner for Marketing Cloud. So we sit on this board with 11 other partners. Those other partners are like Deloitte and Accenture and Publicis. So, you know, it's very much an honor for us, a small organization, to be representing, you know, APAC on that board. And for that, it's really, we get to go in and talk to the product teams and find out what's going on with the platform, give our feedback. They also give us feedback, give us insights into the future. It's very exciting. AF Digital on a page, we're a gold consulting partner, also a Salesforce.org registered partner. We're a multi-cloud partner, and that's really one of our unique value propositions, that we do sales, service, marketing, and community cloud, as well as have other relationships and specializations across ISV partners. So if there's kind of something that needs to be fit in, we've got a lot of the common, you know, commonly needed App Exchange products. So we're really here to provide advisory services to make sure that you're guided on the right track with Salesforce. We also provide transformation projects, which is really rapidly getting you live with the Salesforce technology, or iterating it so that you're delivering more value out of that investment. And then we also have a managed service program called Team X. It's a hybrid managed service, and it's hybrid because it's part marketing, part technology. So this is really the future. We're hopefully the future type of partner that Salesforce customers need. So as I said before, we really started AF Digital. Our early clients were really amazing clients that we've since been working with for years. Meralco, I'm sure everyone on this call is familiar with Meralco. This is really one of my nearest and dearest customers. A long time ago, you know, they were very early in their adoption of social listening and proactive social engagement. For them, they were really concerned about ensuring their customer satisfaction was high, that they really understood everything that was going on in the lives of their customers. And so we leveraged Social Studio. At the time, it was called Radian 6, to listen in to everything in the Philippines around energy. And what we found was it was quite they would pick up issues and be able to report on issues faster than by listening to what was happening on Social Studio than by actually using their typical reporting methods internally, because it's so hard to get that information. Whereas on social media, you see it immediately. If there's an outage somewhere, you can see it. It's just so specifically clear. So we also worked with them and implemented a dark site, a crisis dark site, which was really a specific place where they could put FAQs and updates, and it was kind of like a live site where you could redirect customers instead of calling the contact center. So really awesome project. These guys are thought leaders in their own right, and they're very much leading the way in the Philippines in terms of that digital transformation. Great. All right. So let's jump into Social Studio. I'm going to switch screens. Okay. So this is Social Studio. So Social Studio is, for those that aren't familiar with it, it is an all-you-can-eat social media management software. It's one of the Salesforce suite. So if you have a different Salesforce product like Marketing Cloud or Sales Cloud or Service Cloud, you can plug social into those things. So there's a lot of tie-ups and benefits of having everything. Right now, you can see I've actually got a lot of workspaces. I'm just going to zoom in and show you the COVID-19 workspace I've set up. Cool. Just go in here. So yeah, I mean, this is really, if you look at the top, publish, engage, analyze, those are the three key pillars of Social Studio. And it's, as I said, it's an all-you-can-eat kind of situation where most features that you need to manage social and your job as a social media manager are available here. So publish, engage, analyze, that's pretty much it. I won't really spend much time outside of analyze. So publishing is really, as you'd expect, you can manage all of your social channels with the content calendar. You can collaborate over the content calendar. There's approvals, all sorts of things. What's really cool is that we can also set labels and report on these. So I can actually tag my posts with COVID-19 labels and run analytics on them after the fact. So Social Studio is really powerful with metadata, things like labeling. Reporting on content pillars is kind of one thing, but it's really next level. There's also a content management library, shared content section. And so this is a place where if you do have really great content you want your team to reuse, especially if it's crisis comms, then you can use shared content to just streamline your content production process. So jumping across into engage, and engage is really, as you could kind of imagine it, that's where you engage. So if you've got someone coming in on your wall or hitting you on Facebook Messenger, Twitter inbound, tweeting you, all of those things are tracked, and it's got all of the channels that you really need. But it's got one little cherry on top, which is quite powerful. So you can see here, this column, COVID-19 plus AF digital listening, this is actually a social listening column. So as I go through here, I can actually engage with people that don't necessarily message me, but they talk about a topic that I'm interested in. So this is really the power of Social Studios. It does all the things you'd expect it to do, but it's got a very powerful listening module, which was kind of the core of Radian 6 back in the day. And now it's just so powerful. So this means that you can engage with people talking about your competitors, you can engage with people talking about content topics that are relevant to your industry. Especially in this case, if I can listen for people that are talking about my brand and COVID-19. So this is really the use case here, is I'm listening for my brand plus COVID-19. For me, I'm probably not going to have any issues. At worst, I may find out that an employee is sick through this. If I'm a larger organization, so if I've got 50,000 employees globally, it's going to be very hard to understand quickly if someone's sick, or if there's been somebody sick in my retail store, or keeping track of those kind of things is going to be very difficult. So this social studio is really your eyes on the world, right? It's your eyes on everything that's going on online to make sure that you're across it from a brand perspective. Yeah, so that's kind of that. It's got all of the channels. It has heaps of features in here as well. So one really great feature is if you do have the Salesforce CRM, I can also create a case in Service Cloud, or I could create a lead in Sales Cloud. I don't have it set up, but I could also trigger a journey as well in Marketing Cloud. So yeah, that's really quite a powerful tool. But we're not here to talk about that. We are here to talk about social listening. So right now, what you can see here are some dashboards that I've set up and analyzed. See here, dashboards, workbenches, reports. So the three different areas within Analyze, and these are getting cooler and cooler every release. So the dashboards are set dashboards that you can kind of build up, configure, and then you can copy and reuse them, or you can just keep them live and always look back at the same ones. Workbenches are more about detailed analysis on big data sets. And so that's more if you want to find something, or if you want to answer a specific question, or just discover what's going on. And finally, reports, that's really if you want to automate a PDF to get to your email about exactly one of these dashboards. If you want that sent to your email once a day, twice a day, once a week, once a month, you can set that up using reports. And this is a recent feature of Social Studio, which is really powerful. Yeah, so without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump in. I'm really excited. Let me find, yes, okay, that's the dashboard. So wait, before we go in, and while that's loading, I'm just going to give you a little bit of context on how it's set up. Oof. Okay, so, and that's loading anyway. So just to define social listening is not only social media, it's anything on the internet. You can see here, largely it's Twitter. Twitter is very open. There's a lot of scale. There's a lot of people on Twitter. But it also has things like mainstream news. So if it's in Rappler, it's going to come up in here. We get a little trickle from Facebook, but to be honest, Facebook isn't very open to social listening. So no one can really do anything with it. We just forget about it, really. Blogs, aggregators, reviews, so there's a lot of traffic down here. It's not just social. If let's just go in and show you how we've actually listened. And so this is really exciting. Corona. Okay, I've got a few topic profiles set up. A topic profile is a set of keywords that you're listening for. So okay, so I've got, let me just dive in. So for example, Corona, we've got within the topic profile, we can have keyword groups, which are subtopics. So Corona is the topic, coronavirus is a subtopic. So I've got a general listening where I'm listening for coronavirus, but also not listening for bear. So I've kind of ignored the bear side. But I've also listened for things like Duterte. So we've got Duterte, Rodrigo, and Corona. So that's really listening in for any mention where it's Duterte and coronavirus, Duterte and COVID, Duterte and COVID-19. I'm also excluding bear. So Duterte and Corona, as long as there's no bear involved. So if Duterte is drinking a Corona, then it won't get included. We've excluded that. Yeah, so hopefully that's kind of clear. So that's generally how we've set it up. We've set it up with all sorts of different subtopics of Corona. So things like Duterte is one, but also education, face masks, hospitals, job losses. You'll see Google and Apple, Coca-Cola. I've actually added a few other brands so that we have a comparison against a baseline. So we can say, what's a very popular brand, what's the volume of that, so we have a kind of a reference point. Great. Okay, jumping back, here we are, 3.1 million posts. It's amazing. So um, remember how I talked about the comparison between Corona and Google or Apple as a baseline? So this is showing you where it's at. So right now, out of all of those three topics, 90.1% is related to coronavirus. If I take Corona out, you've got Apple is beating Google 72.2%. Throw it back in and it dwarfs everything. So you get a feel of the scale of what's going on with coronavirus. This is in the Philippines only. Okay, let's go across. Let's look at this word cloud. Let's see what's going on down here. So this is not prepared. This is evolving and changing live. I haven't gone through and looked at this. We're really all seeing it for the first time. So to clarify what this is when it loads, and this is a huge volume of keywords, out of those 3.1 million mentions, this is the top 50 keywords that are used. So imagine the crunching that it's doing. It's like, what are the most common numbers that are used across that 3.1 million social posts? So it's really powerful. But this also gives you a very good understanding of what's going on. And I can drill into this. So let's have a look. Luzon lockdown. So if you want a hashtag to use that's popular, this one is popular. Hashtag Luzon lockdown. Great. So what's this? Plastic bags. My Tagalog's not so good. So happy if anyone wants to translate this for me. I'm not even going to try that. So residente. Yeah, so it's interesting. DOE, Department of Health, I'd assume. Frontliners, response, government, confirmed. I think that's probably going to mean like cases confirmed. You can see people like Rappler in here. Rappler's no doubt very influential in terms of their time. Okay, great. Thank you for the English. Hindi Magtagalog ko, if that's correct. To keep yourself updated with the latest COVID-19 developments, Department of Health is inviting you to join the DOH-PH COVID-19 community. That's cool. Fiber group, that's great. MMDA, that's cool. And so if you are a marketer, this is a really great tool for getting an understanding of what other organizations are doing. Like everyone is doing stuff. Like every company focused away from what they were doing yesterday and they're focused on what they can do today, which is things like this, like these companies are creating content that's really worth sharing, and or it's good to get ideas around what you can do. Suspension of number coding scheme. So yeah, interesting. Number coding scheme is being suspended. I wonder what that means. Like, does that mean anyone can drive your car any day of the week? Department of Health advisory. Any droplet trend. This is really good. So it's education going out. Yeah, so I mean, I could spend all day looking through these ones. Let's see what's going on with Duterte. I'm going to zoom in on Duterte shortly. Let's just see. So we've actually got this sorted by influencer score, which is super handy. It was added maybe a few releases back. This is something that I used to really use a lot in Radian 6. It's so handy because if you're going through a large data set, you don't really want to go through every post. Not every post is equal, right? There's a lot of stuff that's not useful. Whereas usually the most influential posts, these have been retweeted enough that this is what the majority of the conversation is. So you can get a good feel of what the big ones are by just kind of scrolling through. Look, Senator Bongo says Justice Secretary skipped shaking hands with President Duterte as a precautionary measure. Good, I guess. It's funny what gets into the news. Lots of chismus around stuff. President Duterte undergoes COVID-19 test. Faces a medical personnel. Okay, interesting. So he got tested. Justin, President Duterte cancels Boracay visit due to recent developments. What? In light of recent developments. Oh, okay, this is March 12th. Wow, yeah, but it's really like influential. And so the other thing I didn't really clarify is we are looking back at the last 6 weeks. So this is 3.1 million mentions over 6 weeks, so March 1st to April 15th. Let's kind of go away from that word cloud and just kind of go down. I want to look at these topics. So when I mentioned before that we had all of these topics set up in this topic profile, here they are, and it's beautiful. Look at it. So I'm going to take out coronavirus because this is the major keyword group with just any coronavirus related. So you can see that's 69%. So if I take that out, that unlocks everything else. And we've got, now we're looking at these different things. So we've got Corona Hospital. So hospitals related to Corona is the biggest topic in the Philippines right now. Testing is the second biggest. Death is the third biggest. That's not good. Duterte, number 4. Face masks, number 5. Quarantine, 6. Recovered, 5.1, that little yellow one. That's good. So deaths versus recovered, it's about 1/3 of death post versus recovered. I don't know if there's any logic in that, but yeah. Education, sick. Retail, self-isolation, a small percentage of people are concerned about that. Oh, a little bit bigger view. You can actually kind of drill in and get a feeling for what's going on. Let's just see, maybe death. Oh, I probably shouldn't have clicked this one. I'm trying to keep things light, people, but yeah, you could probably gain some interesting insights correlating actual numbers versus social media numbers. We have done a lot of studies in the past where we looked at things like, a really interesting one was Disney Frozen. We looked at the social media post volumes versus other box office hits, and actually found a correlation between the box office revenue and the volume of social media posts. So, little side story there. COVID-19 deaths now 335 cases breached 5,000. It's one day ago. Okay. Cases increase over 5,000. 6 new cases amongst overseas Filipinos, no new deaths. 5 new recoveries. There you go. Okay, 315. Yeah, so yeah, it's not good, but it's kind of, yeah, similar type of news, people talking about death numbers. What about self-isolation? What are people talking about in this topic? I wonder. In recent weeks, astronauts and cosmonauts on the ISS and on Earth have been sharing tips on coping with self. Oh, that's a cool one. Go Rappler, loving your content. President Duterte, COVID-19, HO is science. The reason why we're ordering you to stay inside is also science. Yeah, so there's a lot of talk about this stuff. Let's jump out and let's look at the same thing. So same topics, except we're going to view these on a time scale. So looking at over the last 45 days, we can see here there's a spike on March 13th. March 13th is generally the spike for the epidemic across all countries. So I've done a few other webinars where we look at the global numbers, and it's really like, yeah, March 13th is D-Day for coronavirus. Let's take away the noise though, so we can really drill into understanding the underlying topics that are being discussed and what are those spikes. And you can see here, like, let me zoom into this graph. Okay, great. Influencer score. So what we're going to do, look into influencer score, and we can dig into some of these big spikes and really see. So let's see what happened on Duterte, March 13th. Land, domestic air, domestic sea travel to and from Metro Manila shall be suspended. President Duterte said a community quarantine will be imposed. Wow, so that's what happened on March 13th in Philippines. That also contributes to the global spike, which is really interesting. I'll just show you quickly in the background what the global spike looks like. So this is the global topic profile. This is like, compared to Philippines, this is massive. This is unbelievably huge. And just giving that a second to load. I might just come back to it. When I say it's huge, it's massive, like 700 million or something last time I looked. All right, so that was the 13th. Let's see what else under there. I mean, you could kind of follow Duterte along. You could actually see if there's a cycle. There looks like a bit of a cycle there, where on Tuesday, April 7th, he has a spike. Saturday, April 4th. Thursday, April 2nd. Tuesday, March 31st, and then quiet. March 24th, quiet. March 13th. You could almost, I could almost take away everything else, and let's just have a look at that. That says a lot, actually. So for me, the way I read this is Duterte's cadence. This is his cadence of how he communicates major updates that have a big impact on the Philippines. So Tuesday, March 10th, that's really when things started picking up for Duterte. March 11th, Thursday, Friday, big announcement. End of the week, far out. I had the same thing with my company. That was a big week for me. It was like I had to communicate to all of my staff what was going on, and it was big. Like, it was dramatic, you know. I mean, it was good. Like, our company's good, but it's dramatic what's going on. So then we go along Friday, and then there's been a bit of a lull, and a real lull actually over the weekend, and then Sunday again he's picked up, and probably have a look. Actually, maybe let's look into Tuesday the 24th, see what the spike was there. Okay, I need to find one that's English. President Duterte presides over a meeting on the IATF on COVID-19 response. Also says Malacanang. Do I say that correctly? Malacanang is still waiting for the enrolled bill granting emergency powers to the president. Oh, okay, interesting. It's emergency powers. Only 10 legislators, 9 from the House and 1 Senate, opposed the bill giving President Duterte at least 27 special powers. Wow, I wonder what this is about. I'm not so up to speed with the actual news. But yes, I mean, it's very, very interesting. Special powers, emergency actions, not powers needed versus Corona. I did see a recent like shoot to kill anyone disobeying quarantine order recently. Yeah, so what's interesting though is he's probably spent his time working on that bill, and then he's come out and announced it. I bet there's a few other announcements in here as well. I'll move on to a different topic. And then you see there's another quiet patch. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday again. Tuesday's his day, I reckon. Friday, Tuesday. He's got Tuesdays. I reckon more Tuesdays than not Tuesdays. Tuesday again. Bang, 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 bang. I figured it out. That's his schedule. Tuesdays. That's when he likes to make announcements. So he's probably had the weekend to think about it. I don't know. I'm just joking, in all honesty. I have no idea. And this isn't really a real trend, but it is an indication of the announcements. So yeah, it's very, very interesting. Let's go out of Duterte. Let's have a look at death. Okay, is that going up or down? Sick. Okay, let's add sick. I'll take away some of the other guys. Self-isolation, job loss. Okay, great. So we've got this is death and this is sick. I don't know why they're both brown. Um, so we've got naturally on the 13th. I think Philippines is one of the earlier countries to have a death, but then in terms of the numbers, they don't seem to have like been so dramatic like other countries like Italy, for example. Philippines recorded three more deaths on the 13th. Three more deaths, three more deaths. Okay, there you go. That's what happened on the 13th. Tuesday the 24th. So this is actually quite a, I guess you could say it's a consistent blob of action, and then it's died down in the last 2 weeks since start of April. So that's actually a good sign, I hope. Oh, okay. So this is on March 24th. So Dr. Raul Jara has passed away. 19 new cases of coronavirus. Two more patients have died. Okay, what happened on the, again, it's a Tuesday. What's up with Tuesdays, everyone? Is it Tuesday today? No, it's not. Okay. As of March 31st, reports. Okay, so this is similar to before. Okay, it's that kind of stuff. Let's look at sick. So we had a bit of a spike here again on the 13th, and then it's kind of Tuesday. Don't give me any more Tuesdays. Okay, and then we've got the spike again, Thursday, April 2nd, and then there's also another spike on Wednesday. If we're going to get sick with coronavirus, we would rather get less people sick at one time, spread the illness over time. Okay, good advice. Demand for sneeze guards surge as companies scramble to protect employees. COVID survivor, fever went down after a day. Yeah, so interesting. I wonder, I mean, oh, it'd be so interesting to spend some time on these numbers and get a better understanding of what the spike really is. You know, is it a media article that took off and got retweeted a lot? Is it Ann Curtis? Is it, what did she say, by the way, since we're looking at her? People are getting sick, people are hungry, people are tired, people are scared. The main focus should be on the true enemy right now, which is COVID-19. I pray everyone can work together and concentrate on what really matters, the well-being and protection of the Filipino people. Interesting. Chris Cuomo, I think he's from the US, says CNN that his coronavirus fever was so bad last night he shivered. Oh, he's got it. Okay, not good. Anyway, so what else have we got? Let's have a look. So job loss. Let's talk about job losses. Why is job losses so low? Okay, I mean, if you take everything out, it's not that bad. Education, where's that at? Okay, it's a bit higher than job losses. Self-isolation, okay. Retail, okay. Recovered, okay, let's not get too carried away. So education, March 10th was a big day for us. March 11th, March 9th and 10th, sorry. And then you can see it's kind of dwindled a bit. I assume this is where they UP test kits, Palace asked malls, movie houses to deny entries to students. Oh no. Uh, Mayor Leopoldo Bataoil, I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, test negative for COVID-19. Okay. Students in Metro Manila will be sent home if they're spotted in public spaces to prevent the spread of novel coronavirus. Schools shut in Madrid region. Okay, that's not Philippines. Government calls on Metro Manila malls to bar students. So it's obvious that's really the spike. I guess, yeah, it's caused a lot of controversy. Let's have a look into this more recent spike. Only 2,000 in one day. It's not a huge volume. And actually, comparatively, like these are very low, I would have thought. Education department says one of its school division officials test positive. 23-year-old male student has tested positive in Isabella. Yeah, so interesting. Let's take out education for a second and let's talk about job losses. People concerned about that? So we've got March 14th. So Social Security system says they are prepared to give benefits to employees laid off due to novel coronavirus. Okay, good news. A checklist in case our domestic lawmakers are wondering what to do with their Times, Metro, and other faces. A relief package. Prepared to give benefits to employees laid off. Okay. Italy suspended mortgage. Okay, just looking for specific Philippines. Okay, Italy suspended mortgage payments. France said no employee will lose a cent. We won't add fear of bankruptcy and unemployment to the health crisis. Philippines, no work, no pay. Yes, we are a third world country. I felt that. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these ones are overseas, but they've been kind of retweeted in the Philippines by Filipinos. I'm not sure if this, I don't think that's Philippines related. I don't think that, I think they're talking about a different president. Yeah, so anyway, I'm getting lost in that. And that's the thing, you can just kind of keep going and going. There is another spike on April 4th, more recently. Let's just dwell into that. Dive, that's probably the better word. The novel coronavirus has already dealt an unprecedented, okay, that's American. Duterte said he has fired presidential anti-corruption commissioner Manuelito Luna for recommending an investigation on Vice President Leni Robredo over the alleged illegal solicitations amid COVID-19. Interesting. So that sounds like that's been a bit of a spike in activity. He announced that he fired him in his address. Wow. Drama, drama. Fired for okay, that's a bit rude, Teddy. Okay, very interesting. All right, so let's jump out. I think we can kind of keep going on this forever. Self-isolation. This is an interesting topic. 17th, you've got a spike. Sunday, Saturday, Tuesday. What's this? Saturday. Okay, so people feel it on a Saturday, maybe. Would you guys agree? Maybe Saturdays are the loneliest days. World Health Organization officials are calling for countries to do more testing. Yeah, so let's jump out. Sentiment for Corona. So it's actually quite polarizing if you look at it. It's 38.1%, but it's also 28.6% positive. Actually, just if you scroll down, this is a sentiment chart for testing specific topics. So yeah, it's quite interesting if you kind of have a look into this. This is just zooming into testing as a topic with a sentiment trend line. We could drill into that. Education as well, and you can see here there's different sentiments. So while we were looking before at the topics, now we can actually see this is how the sentiment of those posts is evolving. And you can see here there's a marked difference. So March 9th is quite a big spike, whereas on March 10th is a big positive spike. Positive and negative sentiment work very differently, although it can be confusing and arbitrary how people associate them. It's actually, there's a lot of science in it, and if you have enough scale, then it can be quite indicative of what's really happening. Yeah, so you can see here face masks are a fairly big topic. 116,000 mentions of face masks, 182 of um, testing, 136K for Duterte. And again, you can see the sentiment for Duterte. This is all in relation to the COVID-19 topic. And actually, that's something I didn't mention before, is he may have been talking about non-COVID related things in between. This is COVID only. But you can see here the neutral sentiment and gray. Sometimes there's a big spike of neutral and red and a small bit of green. So this is actually a really great way of measuring the response to any kind of public announcement, be it if you're a celebrity or a brand or a politician. Great. So let's jump out and we are going to go into a more detailed view for 48 hours. So that's what's happened over the last 45 days. Let's look at the last 48 hours of what's being said in the Philippines right now. I will just give it a few seconds to load. Um, I think it's very different. You know, when you look at it from a macro perspective, 45 days is a long time. You can see within that what's a big spike, but you don't see what a big spike is in the context of today. You know, so this is a more detailed view. So we can see here we've had 52,000 social media posts related to COVID-19 in the last 48 hours. So one day ago, it's today and yesterday. Again, if we look at Apple versus Google versus Corona, Corona wins 83.9%. If we look into the keywords that are being talked about, frontliners, um, workers, PPs, Luzon lockdown, still a big hashtag in the last 48 hours. Residente, Avila, I don't know what Avila means. Oops, I clicked into that. Yeah, so this is pretty live. Like this is out of those 51,000 mentions, this is those top 50 keywords in the last 48 hours that are being said. Great. Okay. All right, just giving that a second to load. Resident of Baguio City who reportedly never left home since quarantine measures were put in place still tested positive. Wow. Somebody that never went out has now got coronavirus. So that's a bit weird. Uh, Philippines and the World Bank signed a $500 million loan agreement that would enable the Duterte administration to augment the government's urgent financing requirements. Wow, that is big news. So 3 hours ago, this was announced. Uh, so Taiwan, thank you, Taiwan. 300,000 face masks have been donated to the Philippines. What started out as a group of engineers jokingly picking fights on Facebook turned into a network of Filipinos engaging in bayanihan for healthcare workers leading the fight against. I know what that means, but I'm not sure I do. A healthcare worker has been confirmed with, okay. Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte will be donating a year's salary to help Southern Philippines Medical Center frontliners. Good for her. A detainee who is suspected to have died from coronavirus at QC jail came into contact with some 20 other people inside a cell. Oh no, that's terrible. Okay, great. Let's come up. Uh, Let me just have a look into Avila. Oh, Dr. Clarita Avila confirms her reassignment from the National Center for Mental Health to the Drug Abuse and Rehab Center in Las Piñas. She claims the move was caused by her recent exposés on the COVID-19 situation in the mental institution. Oh, okay, interesting. Avila. Ah, okay, interesting. So, okay, let's jump out of there, and let's look into the last 48 hours of mentions. Oh, okay, let's just look into the top topics. Again, we've got the general coronavirus. I'll take that out, and there are our top topics. So if we zoom in, it looks fairly similar actually, although death has jumped up a place, and Duterte's jumped up a place. I think Duterte was number 4, death was number 3. Um, Hospital is number 1. Face mask, testing, quarantine, recovered. Am I missing anything? Okay, I'll just add a few of these guys in. Great. Recovered, education, sick, job loss. Surprisingly low volume of job loss mentions, in my opinion. I'm not sure why that would be. Maybe what I could do for the next one is get my team to review some more Tagalog words, probably add those in. That would add a bit of volume. I wouldn't expect it to add a huge amount. Maybe let's try it for the next one. So you can see here, this is the last 48 hours. So we looked at the last 45 days before. This is 48 hours. So this is 12 a.m., midnight, 3 a.m., drops down 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m. Well, it's pretty low at this time. People wake up kind of late in the Philippines, don't they? 8 a.m. start coming back online. 9 a.m. Oh no, sorry. I'm in Australian time zone. That's why I think. So this is actually 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Yeah, there you go. So that's the low. It's about 3 to 5. And then coming back up, it really, by around 9 a.m., 10 a.m., it kind of picks up and then it has a bit of it just goes flat. Um, 4 p.m. picks up again, 5 p.m. goes quiet, and then it goes down, and you kind of dwindles off. People start going to bed around 11 p.m. Yeah, so the most active around 6 p.m. after work, I'd say. Yeah, so it's interesting. You can see this very detailed spike. Let's take away the noise. See what people are talking about um, topic-wise. So, well, you can see a big spike in death mentions on this one day, April 14th. What else have we got? Let's take away death. And this one is Duterte. So Duterte, okay, then that's kind of that. What's this? Hospital. There's a recent spike on hospitals. Okay, Avila stopped issuing statements regarding the hospital's coronavirus. National Center for, okay, Avila. Justice Secretary Manado Guevara has asked the NBI to probe death of asthmatic senior citizen who died in his home after being refused admission to 6 hospitals due to lack of ICU facilities. Babies in the time of COVID-19. Thanks to our donors, Antipolo hospitals here using the PPEs, we were able to deliver 50 suits. A few good news stories there. Lung Center of the Philippines launches the OPD hotline consultation related to concerns, asthma, etc. Sarah Duterte donates 2.1 million pesos. Good job. Philippine General Hospital's Guide for Healthcare. Just in, okay, Avila. Yeah, so it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, as I said, I can spend a lot of time in here, and it's just so interesting because you really get a fine handle on what's going on. You can see here quarantine. Let's look at quarantine. Actually, is there anything under job loss recently? Okay, I'm going to take out quarantine actually. Let's look at job loss. So yeah, pretty low volume actually. I'll need to optimize that, I think. Just to double check I'm not missing anything. Retail, sick, education, recovered. Okay. Okay, interesting. Zoning back out. Oops, one step too far. Uh, yeah, so and that's I think the interesting thing. Actually, no, I don't want to go back in here. I think we've completed this dashboard. Let's just jump quickly into the workbenches, and we are going to have a quick look and see what we can learn there. So workbenches, and so the workbench. Remember, this is different. This is the one I had set up. So the workbench is more about data analysis. It's more if you want to zoom in and really understand what's going on within a data set. What this data set is, hopefully, is actually just the filtered out Philippines mentions only. And so with this data set, I can very quickly, yep, that's 3 point something million. I can zoom in here. So I can say, okay, what are the demographics of these people? What's the age of these people that are making these mentions up? What's the gender? What hashtags are they using out of the 3 million? What else do I want to find out? I want to see the sentiment trend. I want to see the top words. Okay, great. So and the reason this is great is because it's for exploration. It's flexible. You know, if I want to do this kind of analysis with a dashboard, I'd have to set up the dashboard, which takes a minute, and then you can kind of look at it. Whereas this is more, I can just click on stuff and find out what's going on. So you can see here, this is actually very interesting. A large percentage of people talking at 25 to 34. 35 to 44, 21 to 24 are kind of quite small in comparison, and then next to nothing on these older age groups. That's very interesting because it's not consistent with global numbers. This is quite different. What we see in global numbers is it's really 25 to 54 are the top four. So that's very interesting. We could also drill in a bit further, and you can kind of go the next step and say, what gender are the 25 to 34s? Who is the target audience for COVID-19 in the Philippines? I mean, in terms of who's talking about, not the target audience. That's incorrect. So while that's loading, I'll just go down COVID-19. So these are the top 10 hashtags for the Philippines related to COVID. Hashtag COVID-19, hashtag coronavirus, hashtag COVID-19 PH, hashtag Luzon lockdown, hashtag COVID_19, hashtag we heal as one. That's a Filipino, it seems like a popular Filipino hashtag, maybe. Hashtag COVID-19, hashtag all you need to know. Interesting. Sentiment spike. So that's really just started from when I set up the topic profile. Just ignore that. And then what I'm talking about is we can actually drill in and we can then dig down and go, okay, out of the Luzon lockdown, what's the sentiment trend around that specific keyword? And then in what context is it being used? Is it positive or negative? So you can actually see here, this is very interesting, this trend. And I can then drill into this and go, okay, for April 7th, I see this big spike. Tell me what is that about? And then on that, I can go, show me top words. I can also say, what are the hashtags? And that's probably going to answer my question. So while before I was looking at the dashboard, I was kind of having to guess and look for trends. I can actually very quickly zoom in and go, oh, what's that about? Oh, okay, this. So, whoops. Okay, so we've got on that date, Luzon lockdown, enhanced quarantine, Ariana Merez, I'm not sure who she is, approved, Carlo Nograles, Formally. So, and I could again go in here. It sounds like something's gone on. Great. So I'm going to wrap up in a second. If anyone has any questions, please throw them into the questions box. Um, but yeah, so this is kind of it's a really great tool to understand quickly what's going on. Let me jump back into the presentation. Great. All right. So if you have a company and you're in the Philippines and you do want to listen for mentions of your brand, um, the way to do it is really just to listen for mentions of coronavirus and your brand. So that's really it. If you have Social Studio, then there's some steps we'd recommend taking: setting up a topic profile just to listen for it, having a shared dashboard that your team can all reference as a source of truth, making sure you're tracking your posts, your COVID related posts, and when you publish, so that you can also report on what the impact has been of your engagement during this period. Uh, Engagement, so making sure that you're not only responsive to inbound messages, but you're also proactively engaging with people in the relevant places. And then real-time reporting and kind of weekly reporting so that you can keep all stakeholders informed. So this is my advice if you have Social Studio. If you don't have Social Studio, there is a deal at the moment where Salesforce are coming to the rescue with a care package. It is case by case and there's conditions attached, so you need to talk to your account executive. If you are availing of this, then AF Digital are coming to the party and we do have a free implementation for this. So, and again, there's criteria involved, but basically what we'll do is get you set up quickly, listening for your brand plus COVID-19 in a best practice kind of way. Have an amazing day, and we'll see you next time. We are running this webinar every week at the same time. So if you want to join me for a look into what's being said in the Philippines about coronavirus, same place, same time. I look forward to having you on next week.